Okay, sure. I didn't realize I'd be running the show, but that's fine.
Yeah, Karina can't be with us today.
Okay.
We're ready, Jim.
Okay, Mr. Stroke, would you start the live stream, please?
We're rolling.
Good afternoon. This is the regularly scheduled bi-monthly meeting of the Architectural Review Board. The Review Board is a city board appointed by City Council to serve on a volunteer basis. The board is charged by city law to review new construction and exterior changes within Mobile's historic districts. Due to the necessity of following CDC guidance and local and state orders, the meeting is being conducted remotely, and the public may follow the proceedings via live stream on the city's website. Anyone wishing to address comments to the board may either send those comments in writing by email or the U.S. Postal Service to the Historic Development Office, being sure to include one's name, home address, and the agenda item being addressed, or contact the Historic Development Office to be placed on the list of speakers in the Zoom meeting. Comments and requests to speak in the meeting must be received by 5 p.m. on the day before the ARB meeting to ensure consideration by the board. Staff will introduce each application to the board and briefly outline the request. At that time, the chair will convene a public hearing to review the application. All comments must be addressed to the board. After comments from the applicant, the chair will ask for comments from concerned parties. Members of the public wishing to address the board in the meeting will be admitted to the meeting from the Zoom waiting room when their item of interest is announced. The concerned parties will be introduced to the board and the applicants. After comments from the applicant and concerned parties, the board will determine the appropriate action for the request. When the item of interest is concluded, the concerned parties will be returned to the Zoom waiting room. Following the meeting, staff will generate correspondence notifying the applicant of the board's actions. Appeals of the review board concerning building issues are heard by City Council. There's a 15-day period to file the notice of appeal with the city clerk. Would the chair call the meeting to order?
All right, I'll call the meeting to order, and would you please call the roll, please?
Abby Davis? Here. Cart Blackwell?
Here.
Andre Rathley?
Here.
Jim Wagner?
Here.
Gypsy Van Antwerp?
Here.
Bob Allen?
Here.
Kim Harden?
Here.
Have I missed anyone?
Yes, this is Carrie Murray calling in by phone.
Thank you, Carrie.
Great. So,
Mr. Vice Chair, we have a quorum.
great. We have a forum, and now I believe we need to entertain a motion so we can conduct business today. Is that not correct?
That is correct.
Hey, Christine.
Yes?
I think you were calling roll. I did not hear my name called in there.
I was calling roll of the board members.
All right. I'm sorry. I did not understand.
Okay.
All right. Does someone have the motion that we need in order to conduct our meeting today via Zoom?
Yeah, I'll do that. I move that the Architectural Review Board find that all agenda items listed for the October 20th, 2021 Architectural Review Board meeting be adopted as necessary for the performance of the ARB's essential minimum functions.
Great, thank you. Have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second, Cart.
Great. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, then we can carry on with our business. So now I would entertain a motion regarding the minutes from our last meeting as posted on the website for approval.
Kim Harden, so
Motion.
moved.
Cart, second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve last month's meeting minutes and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Now I would entertain a motion regarding the mid-months as submitted to us for acceptance of the mid-month as presented by the staff.
Motion to accept the mid-months as presented in the staff report. Cart.
Thank you, Cart. Do I hear a second?
Second, Abby.
Thank you, Abby. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. I think we're ready for the first application.
Okay, the first agenda item concerns 1707 New Hamilton Street. It's a contributing property within the Old Dolphin Way Historic District. And the application under consideration involves the addition of balustrade and side steps with railing on the front porch. The Secretary of the Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties state alterations that have no historic basis and which seek to create an earlier or later appearance are discouraged. The application proposes the enclosure of the front porch on its west and north sides with a balustrade of simple design. The steps to be constructed at the east side of the porch would permit access to the porch directly from the driveway. The design is in keeping with the workmanlike design of the cottage and would not give a false impression of an earlier or later period. The proposed balustrade and steps would be composed of wood, an appropriate material for porches in the Old Dolphin Way district, and the finished composition and proportions would complement the existing house. Based on the discussion in the written staff analysis and given the previous changes to the property, staff believes the proposed installation of a porch balustrade and new steps with railing would not impair the architectural or historic character of the subject property or the surrounding district. Staff recommends approval of the application.
Thank you, Christine. Is anyone here to speak on behalf of this application?
This is Phyllis Jeffrey. I don't really have much to add other than it just seemed like a good idea, and we were having our house painted and having some other work done, and it just seemed like a good time to do it. And I thought it would give the house a more finished look.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll open up to the board members. Any questions or comments from the board regarding the application as submitted? I'm not hearing any. I'm Go
sorry,
ahead.
this is Kim. I was
Yes,
just going to clarify, if you would, there's a photo that shows the vertical slats for the infill and it's set back a bit, but it says it's going to be lattice. Is this going to be a lattice like you would get at Lowe's, the diagonal type wood slats, or is it going to be
Yeah, it is diagonal, and that would be to match the lattice skirting around the house, which is being remade now because the old lattice is just worn out. But yeah,
okay?
it's the same exact style.
Okay, and it's going to be inset like the photo shows on here, inset just a little bit, not flush with the outside of the.
You know, I can't honestly say that we've talked about that.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, it gives a nice detail if it's inset just slightly, half an inch, whatever, from the surround. So that was why I was just curious. It shows it in the photo of, in what was submitted.
Yeah, that was a photo that I found in, I guess it was Southern Living or somewhere, and I just liked the look of it. Mhm.
Right. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
fine.
so that's not an issue. We certainly do that, I'm sure. And that may be what Mac had in mind. I'm not positive.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Kim. Any other questions or comments from the board? Did we receive any other comments from the public, Christine, on this application?
No, we did not, and no one contacted us to speak in the meeting either.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, that being said, then I'd entertain a motion regarding the facts as presented in the staff report.
I'm making
Kim
a
Harden,
motion that is written.
Kim Horton, second.
Okay, I think we had a motion and a second to accept the facts as presented in the staff report. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now I'll entertain a motion to grant a certificate of appropriateness for this project.
This is Cart. Present a motion that this application does not impair the architectural or historical integrity of the building or the district, and that a C of A be issued.
Thank
This
you,
is
Carter.
Joseph Rodriguez, I second it.
Thank you, sir. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. It passes, and the staff will work with you, Mr. and Mrs. Jeffries, to get your certificate of appropriateness. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you.
All right, our next application.
Ooh, what the-
John, you're on mute.
Yeah, okay, now that
Thank
should be
you.
better. Yeah, this is 7 South Lafayette Street. We had a complaint about this one, that the windows were being replaced, went by there, and the work had pretty much been all done. You can see it's in Old Dauphin Way in Lafayette, just off Dauphin. And by the time I got there, no workers were present. But this earlier view, and then in 2014 shows what you had originally. It was a set of wooden casement windows all the way around. Then that arched opening, not the porte cochere, but in the center, probably was an open little porch originally. So it's got jalousies now on either side and just a pane of glass in the center. And that none of that arrangement's original. That was probably open, as was that arched door adjacent to it. That was probably also open, and then at some point they infilled that so they could have heating and cooling. So if we can get in the next view of the property, you'll see what they did was replaced all those wooden casement windows with vinyl in roughly a Craftsman light pattern, three vertical panes over one, and in some cases the windows are tripled, others doubled. I must say they fit the opening pretty well, better than you see in some cases. And then you'll see one under the porte cochere. So they haven't done anything to the front door and the window there under the arch, though I suspect they want to. There was some mention of that, but that's not really what's in front of us today, unless the owner is here and wants to address that. And then we take a look at the next view. And what we're recommending here is the guidelines are pretty clear about this, with a contributing historic building that had its original windows present, that altering that or taking them out and putting in vinyl is not a sympathetic change. So the recommendation would be to deny this application.
Okay. Do we have anyone here to speak on behalf of this application?
Yes, you do.
Yes, ma'am. In your name?
Bibiana Dodson.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Is there something you'd like to add to the staff report that was just given?
Not necessarily. I figure you guys have, I've read over your report, your analysis, and your recommendation. All I was trying to do was go in and secure the property to make it where I could possibly live in there. I've recently moved back to Mobile after 30 plus years to be home closer to family. I lost my husband a couple of years ago, and this just happened to be a little house that I thought, okay, it's going to take a lot, but I was going to take it on. It needs something to be done. I bought it from a little 84-year-old lady who hasn't been able to do anything to it physically or financially for probably 20 plus years. I do plan to open up that porch again. We were just waiting until the rest of the house was secure. There was significant termite damage to some of the windows as well as carpenter ants. I had to wait about 18 weeks just to get the windows because I moved back here at the beginning of the pandemic. So I've had to go through a lot of issues, as I'm sure everyone has with things the past couple of years. But and it's not necessarily you say you don't want any financial burden on the homeowner. Well, that just scratches the surface. It's the physical and the emotional toll that you're adding to me because I am living out of 3 places right now. I still have half of my stuff in a storage unit out on Airport Boulevard. I'm living out of a 1 little bedroom in my sister's house, and I have some of my stuff at that residence, so I'm able to go in and try and do stuff. So it's, the financial bit, but it's more the physical and the emotional that you're asking of me on top of what I've already had to endure. The little bit of finances that my husband left me, I guess I have to take that and put it back even more into this house. So that's all I really need to say, because I know I'm not going to change your minds. I was just trying to secure the property so I could potentially live there. I could just say, to heck with it, I'm done, move on. But I want to move on with my life, and you're not able to allowing me to do that. It's going to take, the last time I checked with these window people, 6 months just to get the windows done. That's another 6 months I've got to live in limbo.
Ms.
That's
Dawson,
what you're,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
that's okay.
And we appreciate the fact that you want to move into this home and make improvements to it. Please understand, we are not here to inflict any sort of intentional emotional hardship upon you. However, the guidelines we have to follow for homes that are within the historic district are the guidelines that we have to follow. I don't know what your circumstances were in acquiring these windows or how they were installed. Our system is such, and staff, you correct me if I'm wrong, that had a permit been requested for this work to have been done, that it would not have been issued by the permitting department because they would have flagged it as being in the historic district, and you would have needed a certificate of appropriateness before you began this work. So I don't know whether or not you obtained or your contractors obtained a permit from the city before they installed these windows or not. But all I can say is, had they done that, it should have been flagged immediately that they could not get a permit until they had a certificate of appropriateness. Staff, have I misstated that in any way?
No, that's correct. For properties located in historic districts, if a COA has not been issued, a building permit will not be issued. The COA comes first.
Okay, so my assumption is that there was not a permit issued for this work to have been done, and I'm not here to cast blame on anyone if that is the case. I'm just saying, had it been requested, you would not have incurred these expenses prior to putting these windows in, because you would have come before this board beforehand, and then we could have given guidance that these type of windows would not be approved.
When
That's all
I
I had.
looked,
Go
when
ahead,
I
ma'am.
was discussing the windows with the gentleman from the window company, we looked at the windows at the house directly next door to me, and they looked just like this.
And I cannot speak to a different property, just have to look at what is before us now.
But that's why I went with that. I wanted something that wasn't going to get eaten up by termites again, if possible.
Understand,
You know, wood is going to get
understand.
eaten up. Vinyl won't be.
Absolutely.
And it's
Unfortunately,
energy efficient.
unfortunately, they're just not allowed under our guidelines. And the property is an historic district, and had there been a permit, you would have been before this board before you expended the expense for these windows. That's all I've got to say, and then I'll ask any other board members if anyone has any comments or questions.
This is Kim Harden. I was reading the staff recommendation, and I don't know if this is something they have suggested and discussed with the owner, but it sounds like it would be a good way to allow her to get moved in sooner by just replacing the front windows initially, and then giving her some additional time to get the rest of them put in incrementally. So I would say that would be a great solution, instead of a complete denial, just to give that timeline.
So either way, possibly, I'm looking at months down the road of getting these windows done. Unless you guys have some wonderful suggestions or recommendations for a window company that would put in the proper windows.
Restore Mobile has a warehouse, and they may have appropriate windows that could be installed in this house. That may be an avenue for
Restore Habitat for Humanity. Restore?
No, Restore Mobile. It's a nonprofit agency that rehabilitates housing in Mobile. It is not Habitat for Humanity. It's a different nonprofit. And I can.
Any other company?
Pardon me?
That, or am I going to have to go and search, I guess, and find somebody that will do windows?
To install them, you mean?
To build them and install them.
Well, they may have appropriate windows in their stock that wouldn't need to be built, simply installed.
21 windows? That's the issue.
I don't know. We'd have to go to their warehouse and look.
It's not as simple as you're making it out. Oh, restore these one on the front, and then, you know, in this time and age, it's not that easy and simple. I guess what I need to know.
There are a number of window manufacturers, custom and otherwise in Mobile, that do to fit historic appropriate windows. I don't know if the staff has a list of some of those that they might be able to pass along to you, but there are a number of people.
That would be greatly appreciated. If they could do that, I would greatly appreciate that. The windows that you're seeing that were there were all painted shut. I know the little 84-year-old lady I bought it from said none of the windows work. They're all painted shut. And that was another reason for me changing them out. So I guess I need to know. Okay, my intention is to open up that front porch. Therefore, that door that the whole neighborhood wants gone will be gone, because but I was trying to secure the property before I did that. And those I guess you say the glass pane and whatever else those are called will be gone. I would like to clean up the property further by possibly power washing. Is that going to impact anything? Therefore, say the color that it might be. I know you guys are particular about paint that goes on the houses in this district. I'm now learning that. So I want to know straight up front, what else am I going to have to encounter?
Ms. Dodson, I think the best suggestion that we could give to you is to meet with the staff with whatever proposed improvement, changes that you want to do with this property, and they can guide you regarding future projects you have. At this point, the only thing before the board that we can consider is the matter of the windows. But I don't want to discourage you from seeking out the staff's assistance in addressing future projects that you may want to pursue with this property. And with that said, is it your intention, do you intend, if there's a way for us to, as the staff recommended, to do an incremental, are you planning to replace these vinyl windows if you're given time to do so, a year to do it within a year?
I don't have much choice, do I? Unless I just outright sell it if somebody else wants to put up with all of this. So yeah, I guess I am going to have to.
It's your choice.
Right.
Of what the staff has made a recommendation to the board to allow you to do this over a period of a year, where the windows would need to be put, these windows you've installed are inappropriate, do not meet the guidelines for the historic district. So if you're telling us, yes, you're willing to comply with that, that goes a long ways for us to understand that that's your intention, to replace all of the windows that have been vinyl ones put in within that year period that the staff's recommending. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Are there any other comments from any of the board members or questions?
In the replacement windows, hopefully there'll be some interaction between the staff and the owner to make sure everything is just right in compliance before any purchases are made or anything. So I just encourage the owner to be in communication with the staff on those improvements.
All right. If there's no other questions or comments from the board, Christine, were there any comments received from the public regarding this application?
There were not, and no one is present to discuss the item from the public.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for the staff regarding how we proceed from here. Is the appropriate motion to accomplish to assist Ms. Dodson, given her additional time, to deny the application with the stipulation that the vinyl windows are going to be replaced within the time frame set out by the staff? I don't think we should be approving the application where the windows do not meet the guidelines, but we're trying to work with the owners so that she has time to come into compliance.
Right. Technically, it would be a denial of the submitted application. However, upon motion of the board and its wording, a certificate of appropriateness could be issued for the staggered replacement of the windows with a more appropriate design and material.
Okay,
So we would amend the facts to include that aspect.
Yes.
Okay.
all right. With that said, unless someone else on the board has a comment or question, then we need to entertain a motion regarding the facts as submitted on the report, submitted by the staff.
This is Kim. I move that we amend the facts to include the owner's agreement to replace the existing vinyl windows with appropriately designed and material wise windows within the next year, with interaction with the city staff to verify exact conditions.
Thank you, Kim. Is there a second to her motion?
Second, Gypsy.
Thank you, Gypsy. We have a motion on the facts as amended in a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion on the facts pass. And then I'd entertain a motion for the certificate of appropriateness that incorporates that the owner would be given the opportunity for the next year to incrementally replace these vinyl windows with appropriate windows.
I make a motion that we grant a COA based on the caveat stipulated in the finding of the facts, which is that the owner replaces the windows within the year timeframe and meets with staff on those appropriate windows.
Thank you.
This is Joseph. I second.
Thank you, Joseph. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you all. Ms. Dodson, so the staff will be getting in touch with you regarding the certificate of appropriateness and working with you in replacing these windows with appropriate windows in materials and design. And we thank you for your work on this house.
Mhm.
All right.
Christine?
Yes.
I just left you a voicemail. It's pouring down rain at my house and I was off the Zoom for like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
but it's not, so it's back. So just ignore that voicemail from me.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. I think our next application is 1754 Hunter Avenue.
Yeah, this is one that y'all looked at last time and got rolled forward for a little more information on the roof. It's an asbestos shingle roof replacing a cedar shingle roof. Also in Midtown near the western edge of Old Offen Way. And could go on a couple of slides here. They want to replace it, by the way, with a metal roof. Here's some existing views. And then this is something that the roofer submitted, the type of roof they have in mind. Either, you know, I think within the staff report, there's a good bit of information about how historically standing seam or V-crimp roofing was quite common in that period. You do see it on four squares. Houses of this vintage, there are a number of others around town. And so it, you know, assuming they do a roof like this rather than the rib, you know, those boxy looking joints with the panels come together, they do a standing seam or a V-crimp, I think that would be very appropriate within the guidelines, and we would recommend approval.
Thank you, John. Is someone here to speak on behalf of the application?
Matthew Taylor. We are the contractor representing our client. We are basically just, you know, suggesting what they're suggesting to us. The picture is something we found that we thought was pretty similar to what we're going for. There's some gutters and things like that on there that we haven't quite figured that part out yet, but overall the existing color doesn't change. It's going to be a color match, and so it will be the light blue with white trim and a galvalume colored roof and a galvanized colored roof. And we originally talked about a standard R panel, and so with what the other gentleman was saying with the standing seam, we will present that back to our client and let them know that, we will need to do a stand-in seam versus a standard R panel.
Okay, thank you. All right, any member of the board have a question or comment?
I think the flat panel standing seam looks very good. And the detailing is critical with metal roofs. So what's shown in the photo would be appropriate with the minimized connections and seaming. So I hope the owner will certainly realize how attractive this could be, and that the contractor can provide what's shown in the photo.
If we get into a scenario to where they don't want to spend the extra money on the standing seam, we'll just represent with possibly just an architectural and go at it again.
Mr. Taylor, this really doesn't have anything to do with the application, I don't guess, but I'm just curious, is the existing roof in bad repair? Is that why it's being changed out, the tile roof now?
It's not actually. It's kind of a hodgepodge. You have octagon slate asbestos on the main body of the roof, and then the porch roof is it's something like a TPO. So it's just I think it's just in need of it, just from an investment standpoint. I think they want to get it sound for moving forward, so they don't have any issues in the future. But at the moment, no, there's nothing that it's an immediate need. No.
All right. I appreciate that. It's more of a observation. I would, at some point at the board, may want to talk about that. I'm hearing that insurance on homes with these roofs are becoming a bit of an issue. And some folks, we may see more applications for replacement of these roofs because insurance is becoming more expensive with the tile roofs. But that really has nothing to do with this application. It's just so this happens to be a house with one of those type roofs that's coming before us. So it'll be interesting to see if we see future applications when the roofs are in good condition and they're replacing them, because they would see a significant decrease in their insurance rates. That's just an aside on my part. With that said, any other comments or questions from the board?
I would say that if there's any change after the presentation to the owner with what they're willing to do, they would need to come back to the board or contact the staff.
Absolutely, Kim, thank you. Because Mr. Taylor, that's absolutely true. If the board chooses to approve this application, it's only for what has been presented here before us now.
Sure, I understand.
All right. Any other comments received, Christine, or anyone else here to speak on this application?
I just wanted to ask.
No written comments, and there's no one present to discuss it on the public.
Okay, thank you. Someone was asking a question, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Abby.
Hey, Abby.
So I see the email where the contractor was stating that it is just a standard R panel. Do we have to amend what was submitted officially, or I'm just trying to figure that, or was it in the staff report that the galvalume or the standing seam was submitted? What are we doing with that?
I would think that
Can we just amend the facts to make it clear, if it's not clear, that it is the standing seam that we are approving, not the standard panel, not the
Right. I think that's a good point, and whoever makes the motion for the facts might want to revise the facts to state that specifically.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we find facts as written with the amendment that that the standing seam metal roof in Galvalume or Galvalume color was submitted.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Kim Harden, second.
Second.
Great, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. That passes, and now I entertain a motion for a certificate of appropriateness.
This is Joseph Rodriguez. I make a motion that we, that the integrity of this roof does not deter from the architectural character of the building, and that we issue a COA on it.
Thank you, Joseph. Do I hear a second?
Second, Gypsy.
Thank you, Gypsy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you. All right, Mr. Taylor, the staff will work with you on the COA and appreciate your work on this.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
Christine, anything else for the board?
I just want to announce that with the next meeting on November 3rd, we will go back to in-person meetings in Government Plaza.
Okay. All right. If there's no objections, then we will adjourn our meeting.
Thank you, Jim, for carrying on the meeting.
Thank you.
One.
Thank you all.